Nobody told the designer of this concept that a motorhome has limits. And it shows. What you are looking at right now is the Zenith, a full AI-generated luxury motorhome concept, and honestly one of the most glass-forward, architecturally resolved designs I have seen on this channel. Before we go any further, this vehicle does not exist in any factory, no production line, no showroom, no price tag. It is pure imagination. And that is exactly why it is worth analyzing. When you remove real-world constraints, you see what design could actually become. Here is what we are covering today. We are walking every surface of that exterior, and there is a lot happening with the glass alone. We are building the interior from the proportions out, because what those panoramic windows are suggesting about the living space inside is extraordinary. We are getting into the powertrain logic. And at the end, I am giving you the honest verdict, including one detail on the roofline that completely changes how you read this concept. I am holding that until we get there. Let us get into it. Start at the front. Because this face is doing something most luxury motorhome concepts completely get wrong. It does not look like a bus that had money spent on it. It looks like something that was designed from a blank sheet with a single question. What should the future of personal mobility look like? The headlight signature is sharp and geometric, angular LED elements that cut into the front fascia like a jeweler cut them in. They sit flush, integrated, and they light up those gold accent lines that run from the front corners all the way down the body. The Zenith badge is centered and minimal. It is not competing with the design. It is letting the design speak first. The front face is communicating one thing. This concept belongs to a different category entirely. Not motorhome, not coach, something new. Now look at the glass. Because this is where the Zenith separates itself from everything else in this niche. And I mean everything. The windshield does not end where a normal windshield ends. It curves up and continues directly into the roofline glass, creating a single unbroken canopy that runs from the A-pillar almost to the mid-body. I am looking at this and estimating that glass surface covers somewhere between 60 and 70% of the visible upper structure. That is not an RV windshield. That is an observation deck. The side glass continues that language. Floor-to-ceiling panels, separated by slim structural pillars finished in piano black, run the full habitable length of the vehicle. The gold accent lines that trace the outer edge of each glass panel give the whole composition a framed quality, like someone designed a moving art gallery and then put wheels on it. What does all that glass mean for you as the person living in this vehicle? We are getting to that when we go inside. But hold that question, because the answer is better than you think. The profile is where the design logic becomes clear. The roofline is high and gently curved, not flat, not aggressively arched, but a considered arc that gives the silhouette elegance without sacrificing interior volume. Based on the wheel diameter and overall proportions I am reading off this image, we are looking at a vehicle somewhere in the 12 to 13 meter range. That is serious length. That is residential square footage. The body below the glass belt is deep black, gloss, not matte, and it absorbs light rather than reflecting it. The effect is that the vehicle appears to float at the glass line. The mass disappears. What you see is the glass canopy hovering above a dark base. That is intentional. That is sophisticated exterior architecture. The six-wheel stance, and yes, this is another six-wheel concept, plants this vehicle wide and low relative to its height. It communicates stability. It communicates that this is not something you park at a holiday campsite. This is something you position somewhere worthy of the view those windows are about to deliver. The paint is deep gloss black with a blue-black undertone that only reveals itself under direct light. This is the kind of finish that costs more than the entire budget of most motorhomes. It behaves differently at every angle, flat and dark in shadow, deep and luminous in light. The gold trim is restrained. Single accent lines at the glass edges, a thin horizontal band at the body midpoint, and the wheel center details. It is not a gold vehicle with a black accent. It is a black vehicle that has been precisely edited with gold. That distinction matters enormously in premium design, and this concept understands it. The wheels are multi-spoke, dark alloy, with a bronze gold center element. On a six-wheel platform, they are inherently a design statement. 6 rolling sculptures at each corner of the vehicle, each one reinforcing the color language of the whole. One more thing before we go inside. Look at the roofline. Right at the transition between the front canopy glass and the rear habitable section, there is something happening structurally up there that I want you to notice. I am not calling it yet, but when we get to the verdict, you will understand why that detail is the most important single decision in this entire design. But first, inside. And based on what those windows are telling us about the interior volume, I think you are going to want to see where this goes. No interior renders on this concept. So we do what we always do. We read the exterior like a blueprint, and we construct the interior from the evidence. This is detective work, and the Zenith is giving us a lot to work with. Start with the ceiling. That roofline arc, measured against the wheel diameter, I am estimating at around 22 to 24 inches. Performance Touring Spec puts the interior standing height somewhere between 2.1 and 2.3 meters. In a vehicle with continuous glass above you, that number does not just change the practicality. It transforms the psychology of the space entirely. You are not standing in a motorhome. You are standing under a skylight the length of a room. On a clear night parked somewhere remote, that ceiling becomes a star map. That is not a spec sheet feature. That is an experience. On a platform this long, I am estimating 8 to 9 meters of habitable interior once the cab and mechanical sections are accounted for. The designer has serious real estate to work with. Here is how the logic almost certainly runs. The cockpit zone sits directly behind that sweeping front canopy. And with glass at that angle and that scale, the driver is not sitting in a cab. They are sitting in an observation pod. The view forward and upward from that position would be unlike anything available in any production vehicle on the road today. Behind the cockpit, a transitional lounge zone, forward-facing seating that captures the same visual field as the front glass. Then a central social zone, kitchen, dining, living. Then sleeping quarters moving toward the rear, positioned above the quietest section of the platform over the rear axle pair. Bathroom tucked into the rear offside, which is the correct engineering call for water management and weight distribution. Those panoramic side windows running the full length of the habitable zone. Let me tell you what a morning in this space would actually feel like. You wake up. You walk from the sleeping zone into the lounge. The light is coming in from both sides simultaneously, not a strip of light, not a porthole, the entire wall. The gloss black exterior you saw outside becomes a mirror on the interior face of those panels in low light. At sunrise, the glass goes gold. At night, in the wilderness, the windows frame whatever darkness you parked inside. The interior design language, to match the exterior, would almost certainly be dark leathers, brushed bronze metals, and surfaces that absorb rather than reflect. The space would feel grounded and warm despite the scale of the glass. Intimate, not exposed. On a platform this wide, the exterior suggests an interior width of around 2.3 to 2.5 meters. You have genuine kitchen depth. Not a galley. A kitchen where 2 people can move simultaneously without negotiating. Full induction surface. Residentially sized refrigeration. Integrated appliance panels flush to the cabinetry. The counter faces the side glass, so you cook with a view. The rear sleeping zone on a platform this long allows for a genuine transverse king configuration. You sleep across the vehicle, which means you wake up facing the side glass, facing whatever landscape you chose the night before. The rear axle pair underneath actually works in your favor here. The dual axle geometry creates a vibration dampening effect when properly suspended, making the rear sleeping position quieter than the mid-body. Back to the front. That windshield to roof glass transition gives the driver a visibility envelope that is genuinely unprecedented in this vehicle class. Combine that with what would be a fully digital instrument architecture, heads-up display projected into the lower windshield zone, camera-based monitoring replacing conventional mirrors, and you are not driving a motorhome. You are piloting something. The distinction matters to the person who buys at this level. A concept with this visual intelligence would be imagining equally intelligent systems underneath. Zoned climate management, learning your preferences by position in the vehicle. Starlink connectivity integrated at the roof level, not bolted on, designed in. Predictive route and charging planning that communicates with the powertrain before you do. Solar management that monitors the angle of that roof glass and adjusts charging cycles in real time. This is not future speculation. These systems exist today in various forms. The Zenith is imagining the version where they are unified, invisible, and effortless. The roofline detail I mentioned. We are almost there. Let me show you the powertrain logic first, because it connects directly to what that detail is doing structurally. Then I will bring it all together. 6 wheels on a luxury motorhome concept is not a styling decision in 2026. It is an engineering argument. A fully equipped vehicle of this scale, gloss body panels, full glass canopy, residential interior fit-out, lands somewhere between 14 and 18 tons. 3 axles distribute that load across 6 contact patches. That means legal road access to surfaces a twin-axle platform cannot use. It means dramatically improved stability at highway speed. And it means the suspension geometry can be tuned independently per axle for comfort rather than compromising between load capacity and ride quality. Full electric is the only powertrain argument that makes sense at this positioning level in 2026. Not hybrid. Full electric. Here's why. The person who lives in a vehicle like the Zenith did not spend this kind of money to hear a diesel engine through the bedroom wall at idle. They bought silence. They bought the ability to park in a protected landscape without an emissions permit. They bought a powertrain that delivers full torque from 0 RPM, which on a platform this heavy means effortless acceleration that feels entirely disconnected from the mass underneath you. In a real-world engineering scenario, you are looking at dual motors, one per rear axle pair, with a combined output in the 700 to 900 horsepower range. Battery capacity borrowing from heavy EV coach architecture, 500 to 650 kilowatt-hours of usable energy. Enough for 400 to 500 kilometers of real-world range at touring speed. Enough for multiple days of off-grid stationary use. Now, the roofline detail. Look at the transition zone between the front canopy glass and the rear habitable roof. That flat section is not decorative. In a production version of this concept, that surface is a flush integrated solar array. N-type high-efficiency panels generating 1,400 to 1,800 watts peak, designed into the roof geometry rather than mounted on top of it. The result aerodynamically and visually is a roof that reads as continuous. One surface, 2 functions. That array does not power the drive system. It sustains the interior systems while stationary, climate, lighting, connectivity, refrigeration, removing the need for a generator entirely. You park the Zenith somewhere extraordinary. You stay there, quietly, for as long as you want. A concept at this intelligence level is almost certainly imagining level 3 autonomous highway capability. Not full self-driving. The infrastructure does not support that yet, and neither does regulation. But supervised highway autonomy. The system handles lane keeping, speed management, and following distance while the driver monitors. What that means practically is that the person behind that windshield can choose to watch the road or choose to turn around and join their guests in the lounge. That is a different vehicle proposition entirely. What it does genuinely well. The glass strategy. I have analyzed a lot of AI motorhome concepts on this channel, and most of them use glass as decoration. A few extra windows, a sunroof panel, something to tick the luxury box. The Zenith uses glass as architecture. The entire upper structure is reconceived around what it would mean to live inside a space that is simultaneously enclosed and visually open to the world outside. That is a genuine design idea, not a styling exercise. And in the context of the luxury motorhome market, where most Class A interiors still feel like upscale hotel corridors, that idea is genuinely radical. What seems impractical? The gloss black exterior. I understand why it is there. It is visually extraordinary, and the photographic argument for it is unanswerable. But gloss black on a vehicle that parks in wilderness locations, drives gravel roads, and sits exposed to weather for weeks at a time is a maintenance proposition that would drive the actual owner insane. Every stone chip, every watermark, every dust film is visible from 30 meters. A concept this considered should have resolved this. A deep satin or ceramic-coated alternative that preserves the color language without the maintenance liability would have been the smarter call. The most impressive detail. The integrated solar roof, specifically the decision to design it as a continuation of the roofline geometry rather than a mounted addition. Every other solar motorhome concept I have seen treats the solar panels as a retrofit, something added to the roof after the design was finished. The Zenith appears to have designed the roof around the solar requirement from the beginning. That discipline, letting a functional constraint shape the aesthetic rather than fighting against it, is what separates a design concept from a design idea. That is the detail worth stealing. One thing I would change: the entry door placement. From the exterior, the primary entry appears to be a single mid-body door on the offside. On a vehicle with this much glass and this much interior ambition, a single conventional door is a missed opportunity. A concept at this level should be imagining a frameless flush-closing door with a deployable step that descends automatically on approach, something that matches the drama of the exterior when you arrive at the vehicle. The door is the one moment where the Zenith design language breaks down into convention. That needs to change. What it signals. The Zenith is not making an argument about motorhomes. It is making an argument about what premium mobility becomes when the person designing it stops thinking about roads and starts thinking about destinations. The glass canopy, the silent electric powertrain, the integrated solar architecture. Every decision in this concept is pointing toward a world where the vehicle is not the compromise you make to reach a place. It is the place. It is a concept. It is fictional. It is AI-generated. And it is still the most architecturally ambitious motorhome design I have put on this channel. Comment: full glass canopy or solid insulated roof? Which would you actually want to live under for a month? Drop it below. I think the answer splits people completely. Subscribe Vault Motion. If breaking down concepts like this, seriously, without the hype, with the honest take on what works and what does not, is what you come to YouTube for, subscribing is the most efficient way to not miss the next one. We cover every concept this way. See you on the next one.